What's going on, guys, and welcome back to F1 2021 for my team career mode, round number 9 of season 4, the Belgian Grand Prix. We're at the halfway point in the season now, which means driver negotiations. So we're going to re-sign George Russell for the rest of the season. Of course we are. He's doing a pretty good job. He didn't have the greatest start to the season, but he's now doing well. He, of course, won last time out in Hungary, whereas we lost. We came completely last because our MGUK went wrong. It went bust, so we did not finish the Hungarian Grand Prix, our first DNF of the season. So we're going to be trying to rectify that today, that's for sure, as we put our usual things on there for activities. We're also going to buy a bunch of driver perks because I haven't really been doing this a whole lot, and I've got all this money. I don't really have anything else to spend it on now because the facility upgrade's not really needed anymore because we have a fully upgraded car. So I'm just going to splash a bit of money on those. And looking at R&D, not really any changes here going into this race. Williams, slight improvement, bit of an improvement from Haas, and a little bit of an improvement from AlphaTauri as well. But everybody still sitting in that same sort of area. And but yeah, the top teams, pretty much the majority of teams are maxed out now, or at least right there. It's just really like Alpine, Williams, and Haas that aren't maxed out yet. Everybody else is pretty much there. So yes, as we go to Spa for the first time here in Q1, and I do make it through Q1, no worries at all. This is a track that I do really enjoy. It's one of my favourite tracks on the calendar, that's for sure. It's just such an iconic track, just a great track to drive. And yeah, I've always done pretty well here. We haven't got a win in Spa yet. Not even sure if we've got a podium. I don't think we even have a podium, actually. I remember, I think, was it season 2 or season 3, we came 4th, I think, here, and that's our best result so far. Now, it's not that great looking in Q1 because I go P13, Russell goes P12, so we're both outside the top 10 in Q1. So although yes, we've made it through, Callum Ilott probably being the biggest surprise, not making it through to Q2 there in the Alfa Romeo. Although we did get through to Q2, we weren't quite where we wanted to be, and on my Q2 lap, as you can see here, we've started halfway through, so I did make it through to Q3 and showed a bit better pace here as well. I don't know what it was in Q1. I don't think I quite got the best lap, to be honest, and obviously that must have been the same for Russell. He was only like a 10th or so in front of me, but yeah, went quite a lot better this time in Q2, just a lot braver with the car, just all round a much better lap time, and we ended up going P4 in Q2, so very good time from us there. Russell goes P7, and you've got Guan Yu Zhou in the Mercedes out in Q2, and Yuki Tsunoda, the rest of them, you've got the two Astons, and all the Hasses and all that are out. Alfa Romeos are out now as well. And as we go on to Q3, this is the fastest lap, my fastest lap now. I felt like I went a little bit late on brakes into turn 1, but I'm actually up by a decent amount on my sector time. So going a little bit too late into turn 1, I thought was going to be an issue, but it's turned out it's actually turned out pretty well. We're currently sitting P4 after doing our first flying lap. I'm pretty sure this is the second flying lap of second and final flying lap of Q3, because I usually only do like maybe 4 flying laps if I can in Q1, Q2, but then in Q3 I just try and use the last set of tyres and just do kind of 2 flying laps right at the end of the session, and I can just kind of skip through the rest of it. So we were sitting P4, we're now down to P7 with Russell in P8 behind us, but people are setting faster lap times as we're going here, as we just continue on around the lap. And this was, I think, a pretty good lap. I really did nail this quite well. It's such a fun track to drive around when you get it right. Such an awesome track. I mean, it's a great track at the best of times, but when you get a good lap around here, because it's one of the longest laps on the calendar, if not maybe the longest, I'm not 100% sure, but definitely one of the longest laps on the calendar. And it's just awesome when you nail it, and it's just such a good track. This long section here, I seem to be quite a lot quicker than the AI. We actually brake a little bit early into the chicane, and we're going to go slightly down on our sector time, but overall the lap is quicker than my previous one, which gives us our time, and we end up qualifying P7. We've out-qualified Russell, which is something that we haven't done a whole lot. We've only done it a couple of times this season, so it's really close at the top there. There's like less than 0.3 of a second between first and I think 8th. So very, very close grid here. Norris starts on pole. Let's see what happens.
Welcome along then to the Belgian Grand Prix, the race that gave us the maiden victory for the Jordan team in 1998. And in the same team, the phenomenal debut of a young Michael Schumacher. There's always something special around one of the many corners of this fan-favourite circuit. Spa-Francorchamps today, a circuit that spans 4.35 miles. There are tons of elevation changes along the way too. 19 corners making up this circuit, with 9 of those to the right and the remaining 10 to the left. This track is a great one for fans of pure speed. The average lap speed comes close to a whopping 145 miles an hour. Also here, of course, is Anthony Davidson. Let's talk about Shaw. What do you make of their performance so far this season?
They've been avoiding mistakes and have had solid pace, so it's been a good season so far, but whether they can keep that up long term remains to be seen.
Let's run you through the driver grid order for today's exciting race. Lando Norris put in a fantastic lap yesterday and will start from pole position. And Antonio Giovinazzi lines up alongside. Moving on to the rest of the grid, we have Perez, Verstappen, Charles Leclerc and Gasly, Shaw, Russell, Sainz and Lewis Hamilton, Tsunoda, Joe, Lance Stroll and Vettel, Ocon, Latifi, Christian Lundgaard and Callum Ilott, Fernando Alonso, Matsushita, Mick Schumacher and Nikita Mazepin. Which of these talented drivers will come out on top today?
Alright, so here we go for the Belgian Grand Prix in Season 4 to 5 red lights here, and away we go. Starting P7, we've got Gasly and Leclerc ahead of us. Gasly gets an amazing start, Leclerc not so much, as Russell, our teammate, gets a good start as well. Ran the outside of us into turn 1, but we managed to keep the position, and now we're behind Russell. Gasly's had such an awesome start from P6, I mean just jumping up to P5, but it's a great start for the AlphaTauri French driver. As we go up Eau Rouge for the first time, a little bit sketchy up there, I'm not going to lie, that wasn't the greatest run up Eau Rouge, as we see Gasly having a look at one of the Red Bulls into the next corner. I don't know if he's quite going to get that done there. He just about is. They're side by side going through in front of us. You can just see it all panning out. Gasly has got such an amazing start, and he's overtaken Giovinazzi, who started on the front row of the grid but hasn't had the best start here by the looks of it, because he's already down in P5 from starting in P2. As we continue on here, we've still got our teammate right behind us and Charles Leclerc, our main championship rival, right in front of us. I mean, these two, Russell and Leclerc, both the main title rivals at the moment, and we're not quick through that long left-hand corner. That is one of the spots on this track that I definitely lose time, but then it's out of when we come out of this corner here. This is where I gain all the time, and you will see it right here. I mean, you can see how far behind Leclerc we are now, almost 0.6 of a second, I believe that is, maybe just over. And just with the ERS and the game with the driving line tells you to like slow down a little bit coming through these corners, but you can just go so quick, and look how much closer now behind Leclerc we are. We're actually having a little look around the outside into this final chicane, but we can't quite do anything. He defends well, and I don't want to push it too hard. It's only lap 1, but lap 1 is now over as we get a little kick of oversteer out of the chicane. And yeah, we've held position, but it's not all bad. It's very, very close at the front here as we go very late on the brakes into turn 1. Looking at the start once again, Sergio Perez gets an amazing start from the second row of the grid, and it's 3 wide with the 2 Red Bulls and Norris into turn 1. But Giovinazzi kind of gets mugged off there a little bit and actually gets overtaken by Verstappen into going up Eau Rouge. Well, they're actually 2 wide. Verstappen and Giovinazzi going through Eau Rouge, and Perez, great start for him, up into second place. Then you've got Pierre Gasly here going for a move on Giovinazzi as well. Giovinazzi's just had such a poor start here from the front row of the grid. These guys go 2 wide as we watch in the background, but Gasly gets the move done. It's great racing from him. Great racing from everyone. A very clean start, but a very exciting start to this race, and I'm sure it's going to be a good one going forward as well. It's going to be a good race as well. I can just feel it in the air. as we continue on. Like I said before, we lose a little bit of time coming up to this final sector here on Charles Leclerc, but then here we just use heaps of ERS, and although the game's telling me you should slow down a little bit for these corners, you can take these flat quite easily. It's really not that difficult at all. But for some reason the AI, I don't know, they just have a little bit of a lift or something through there, because you can just catch them so easily, or maybe they just don't use as much ERS, I don't know, but yeah, really gain a lot of time on them there. And we're just hooked up behind Leclerc for quite a few laps here, onto lap number 5. We've got DRS behind him, but we're in a little bit of a DRS train here. I've just got to try and keep getting closer, but I'm just absolutely using as much as I can. Leclerc going defensive into the next corner, and he's right there. We can't quite make the move though. He just positions his car perfectly, and we just can't get the move done. As we have a look here at Lance Stroll in the Aston Martin, and he is out of the race with a mechanical failure as his teammate goes past him, and a lot of other cars go flying past him. He's just trying to pull up on the track here, but then one of the Alfa Romeos has gone straight into Lance Stroll. I think that was Callum Ilott, straight into him, broke his front wing, so Ilott will now have to come in for a pit stop and a front wing change. Stroll is out of the Belgian Grand Prix, and that brings out the virtual safety car with that collision from Ilott. So now we've got a virtual safety car, which spices things up a little bit. It'd be nice to see a full safety car though, because we haven't seen one of those in a while. AIs don't seem to be having the big crashes and doing the mistakes that they were earlier on in this career mode, so you know, I would like to see a bit more of that personally. It spices things up and makes things a bit more interesting. But a few laps later, things get going, and we're now right on the back of Charles Leclerc, and we're having a look. But once again, he's just positioning his car perfectly. But we're going to have a big leap around the outside, and it's a crazy overtake, and we get the move done on Leclerc. Maybe a little bit up on the curb there. In real life, I may have had to give it back, but we've not been penalised here. But then we outbrake ourselves into the next corner, and we're all out of shape through this next section. And Leclerc is right behind us. He wants to make that move back again. We're going defensive into here, but I know that I'm poor, and I just kind of hit the curb a little bit, drags us out wide, and Leclerc manages to get himself back through. But we're going to have a big dive into the next corner, but we can't quite do it. He's later enough on the brakes that he keeps the position. And although we made a move on Leclerc, a pretty crazy move to be honest, and maybe slightly illegal move, he got us back. So some good racing there, but a little bit unfortunate for us. As on this next lap here, we come into the pits for our first pit stop onto a set of medium tyres, and I think this will be our only pit stop as well. Most people here doing a one stop, but actually Russell, my teammate, came in a lap early, and he, with me and Leclerc battling, has managed to get the undercut done on both of us. So Russell jumped in front of myself and Leclerc, so we've now got 2 cars directly ahead to get past, and one of them is my teammate. But before I can make a move on my teammate, Leclerc's going to try and do it. He's having a little look up the inside of the next corner, but can't quite get it done at that point, and that's made me close right up to the back of them once again. And I've just got to play this patiently. I've got to play this cool, and yeah, just watch out for what's going to happen here. At the front of the grid, well, Lando Norris was leading the way, but Sergio Perez in second place would be very close to him, and would go in the pits 1 lap earlier, and he has managed to make the undercut work, and is up into P1 for Red Bull. Perez, of course, already got 1 win this season. Norris already got 1 win as well. It's actually only myself and my teammate George Russell that have got 2 wins this season, but these 2 are going to battle it out to be the next driver to get a double win in Season 4. But at the moment, it's Sergio Perez ahead of Lando Norris, but I think there's going to be a big battle going on between these 2. Max Verstappen and the other McLaren just a bit further behind. As we continue on here, it looks like I forgot to add a fade effect there, so that looked a little bit janky. Sorry for that. I might be able to change that later on, so you may not know what I'm talking about here, but when the video actually goes out. But we're going to have once again another look at Leclerc into the chicane, but he's just a bit too far ahead of us, and he's positioning his car really well, and now he's got the DRS from Russell up ahead, so we kind of managed to get a gap to Giovinazzi. I mean, Giovinazzi got a gap on us with us fighting, but now with Russell ahead, he's got the DRS on him, so it's going to be even harder to overtake Leclerc. As with our fighting, Tsunoda actually comes out just behind us from the pits. He was a little bit further behind us before the pit stop, but yeah, he's just managed to actually catch up a little bit with us fighting. But now we're as close behind Leclerc as we've ever been, as we're going for a move into this corner. But we get alongside him, but Russell is going to defend from Leclerc, and he's going to completely screw us over. We would have made the move. We would almost certainly have made the move on Leclerc there, but Russell defending the position on myself and Leclerc screwed us over and let Leclerc back through again. So that is really annoying, especially considering it was my own teammate basically blocking me in front. But I mean, he's got to defend his position as well, so I guess that is what it is. So we're going to continue on here trying to make a move again, and I'm getting a little bit impatient by this point, I'm not going to lie. I mean, I'm not crazily quicker than the cars in front, as we have a bit of a scary moment through that corner, just absolutely pushing to the limit. As you can see, Tsunoda right there behind me as well, so not a whole lot of pressure from Tsunoda, but he is for sure there. This time though, I'm getting my elbows out and I'm right alongside him. We're going to brake as late as we possibly can into the chicane. It's too wide with Leclerc through the chicane. Some great racing, but he just has the higher line and gets the better exit, so he is still ahead, but I'm still right up behind him, and we're going to go for a big dive into turn 1 here. Big dive bomb, but keeping it clean. Keep him on the track, keep us both on the track, and we get the move done. I just felt like that had to be done. I was getting a little bit frustrated staring at the back of that Ferrari that I just had to make the big dive into turn 1.
Information on Russell. They have some kind of mechanical problem.
And now George Russell has a mechanical issue, as behind me Leclerc is defending from Tsunoda. So Tsunoda actually showing some good pace here and is now fighting with the Ferrari, but Leclerc will be able to hold that position. But yeah, Tsunoda could be getting in the mix here as well. But Russell, of course, my teammate, he has apparently got an issue, and I can tell because he's very slow around here. And I'm just going to go for a little bit of a ballsy move in this very fast sector, but I know that I'm a lot quicker than the AI here anyway, and with Russell's issue he's even slower still, so I just make that move and we're up into P6 now. So effectively we've still only made one position from the start because Russell undercut us before, so I'm only currently got past Leclerc. And now speaking of Leclerc, he's now going for a move on Russell because Russell is definitely losing power here. He's just coming undone, and as he comes through this next corner here, look, Tsunoda goes for a move as well in a place where you wouldn't usually expect someone to make an overtake, especially, you know, my team versus the AlphaTauri, which isn't the quickest car, although obviously showing good pace with Tsunoda and definitely with Gasly still up in P4. So Tsunoda makes the move, and Russell unfortunately is starting to slip away. His engine problem, or whatever his problem is causing him a lot of grief now because he's losing power by the minute. And as we still look around here, and I think this is actually still Russell, Carlos Sainz is now caught up and he's going for a move. Russell going to give this one a bit more of a fight though, but as they go through the chicane, well actually Russell gets the better drive off the corner and is going to go ahead here. Sainz is going to be having a look behind but can't quite do anything. Then you've got a bit of a train of an Aston Martin, Mercedes, both Mercedes and an Alpine. Lots of cars here now stuck behind Russell and going to be looking to get past him, as we go up Eau Rouge. Sainz will have DRS on Russell, and if Russell has still got this issue, which I think he does, he's going to be even more susceptible to being overtaken by the Ferrari. And sure enough, as Carlos Sainz goes to the outside, he's going to make the move stick. It looks like the Aston Martin is having a look there as well, but he's not quite managed to get past, but I think he's going to make the move soon as well. There it is, Sebastian Vettel going for a move up the inside, but not quite here. This is terrible for Russell. He's now, I'm pretty sure by this point, he has fallen out of the points. This is not good for his championship bid because he's currently sitting P3 in the championship as Vettel goes for a ballsy move up the inside. Great move from Vettel there, even considering Russell's problems. He makes the move stick and Russell is just going to keep falling down the order, unfortunately. As we continue on here, we've still got Leclerc right behind us, lap 17. We've pulled away from the group of Tsunoda and the rest of them behind, but Leclerc is not. He's not budging. We're catching Giovinazzi and Gasly a little bit as well. They're kind of together up ahead. And then you've got quite a big gap then to Verstappen, and then a little bit of a gap to Perez and Norris. But me and Leclerc are just kind of tied to the hip at the moment. I'm quicker than him, I can keep ahead of him, but he's just managing to stay within a second, within DRS range, and make it really tricky for me. here we have Pierre Gasly. You can see he's just holding on to this P4 really damn well, and he's actually not far behind Verstappen. You just saw him in the shot just before. He's right behind him, but is getting the pressure from Giovinazzi, who is in a quicker car. Let's be honest, the Red Bulls are a quicker car at this current point in time, but AlphaTauri doing a great job. Gasly and the AlphaTauri doing an amazing job here to keep this P4. Let's see if he can keep it to the end of the race. And we've still got Charles Leclerc looking at the back of us here. He's just absolutely on one at the moment and is just not leaving me alone. He's really not letting me have a rest. I'm pushing as hard as I can because Leclerc has got good pace here, and you know, down the straights and stuff with the DRS, he's quick, he's keeping right behind us, but we can just about keep in front of him for the most part with ERS. But you can see as well, you just saw Giovinazzi in the shot at the front. We are slowly catching Giovinazzi and Gasly, but I think it's going to be a little bit too late to catch that group of 5th and 4th place. So I think 6th place is going to be about as good as we can get here as we head on to the final lap 22 of the Belgian Grand Prix. We can now see Giovinazzi and Gasly right ahead of us. We're one of the quickest men on track right now. I think the leaders are a little bit quicker, as I think it was Norris or Perez set the fastest lap of the race. But you can see how close it is at the front here as well. Perez still leads the way with Norris right behind him. Bit of a gap back to Verstappen. But these guys have just been with each other the whole time. But looking through the replays, Norris never quite managed to get close enough to really go for a move at any point. He'd catch up in the DRS zone, of course, but never really got close enough to actually make a dive bomb, or they never really switched position. So a little bit unfortunate in that regard, but it's still awesome to see how close everybody was, because usually you had the two at the front, then Verstappen on his own, then the two of Giovinazzi and Gasly, and then the two of myself and Leclerc. But we will, as we come through the chicane for the final time, we will come home in P6. We beat Charles Leclerc, but he gave us a damn good run for our money. He pressurized us the whole way. It was a very exciting race. I enjoyed this one a lot. Awesome to have a good race once again after the massive disappointment of Hungary last time out. Sergio Perez gets driver of the day and also wins. It's a good day for him.
A difficult race then on one of the all-time classic circuits, but they've persevered to take the win here today. Tell me, Ant, how did they manage to achieve this win?
Well, I honestly feel it was down to the driver and car today. I mean, we can talk driver skill all day, but if you don't have a solid team to back that, you're never going to get anywhere. When you hit that sweet spot of having both an excellent driver and an incredible car, that's when you see results like those we witnessed today.
Red Bull put up an outstanding fight for the front position today, and it's great to see it paid off for them. They do so much for the sport that you can't help but be delighted by today's race win.
So there we go, Sergio Perez wins the Belgian Grand Prix, giving him 2 wins so far this season, same as me and Russell. Lando Norris comes home in P2 and Max Verstappen in P3. Quite surprised that we haven't seen a win from Verstappen yet. Norris has very much so been getting the best of him at the moment, so it'd be interesting to see if Verstappen can fight back, because I mean, as far as I know, and we'll have a look in a second, they're pretty close to each other in the driver's standings, because Verstappen's still been putting in very good consistent results, but not many podiums, only a couple of podiums this season for him, and no race wins unlike Norris. And in the driver's standings, it's very close. So close, in fact, that Sergio Perez is now joint on points with myself, P1. We're both on 118 points at the top. Leclerc moves down to 3rd, Russell down to 4th, Giovinazzi overtakes Sainz for 7th place, Pierre Gasly also moving up a spot with that great result of P4. He's up into P12 now, and then down the order, the 2 Alpines switching positions as well. We are still leading the TGL Motorsport, still leading the Constructors' Championship. Red Bull now in 2nd place, McLaren in 3rd after a very good result of 2nd and 3rd place, and Ferrari down to 4th. Just like usual, those 3 are absolutely, they're literally switching positions every single race. It's crazy, and to be honest, they're catching up to my team quite a lot, so this could very easily be a 4-way fight for the Constructors' Championship. And I mean, it's looking like a similar sort of thing for the Drivers' Championship, so I'm really excited to see how this season goes. But anyway, that's going to be it for this video, guys. Thank you very much for watching. If you enjoyed, please go ahead, like and subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next video.